and we'll just sort of let them join, and they'll probably join during the introduction phase. Uh, just so everyone knows, this is being recorded, um, and we'll put it up on the Barker and Scott SharePoint site for anyone that wants to look at it, and that's the only place it will be distributed. Again, Dan, and I'm not sure who else is here from Fundly, but thank you guys for doing this. Jeff Como, thank you very much for being the go-between and the organizer. Maybe a good way to get started is we'll just briefly, I'll ask Lisa Scott, the Scott and Barker and Scott, to just briefly introduce who Barker and Scott is. And then each of us from Barker and Scott will just very, very briefly, in 15 seconds or less, introduce ourselves, and then we'll turn it over to you guys.
That sounds good.
Sure. Yeah, so this is Lisa Scott. Barker and Scott has been around since 2002. It was founded by myself and Doug Barker, and we work exclusively with nonprofit organizations, and our mission is really to help nonprofits use the power of information technology for mission success. And we do a lot of different engagements. I would say almost the core of what we do is helping organizations with technology related to constituent relationship management. And that can be anything from helping organizations establish their strategies, to selecting new systems, to optimizing business processes, to implementation support. We also do things like information technology strategic plans, assessments, and so forth. We have a business that focuses on helping organizations identify and select new response processing vendors. So a number of different things, but I'd say the core of what we do is CRM. And that is our professional services side. The other side of our business is a managed services business that's in its third year now, and that business focuses on being sort of the systems administrator or the database administrator team for more mid-tier and smaller nonprofits. And so we will do the work that often organizations may do internally, but when resources are tight, we can do it in a way that's very economical and affordable for people. And so we may do anything from data entry to report development to supporting direct mail segmentation efforts, and so that is our managed services group. Our team in total is about 25 people. Across both the professional services and managed services side. So let me stop there and see if you've got any questions for me.
No, that's all really good and clear cut. I think we have a good understanding from what you just mentioned on what you guys do, and it sounds really interesting on the managed services side that you're maybe going after some of the more mid-market organizations that don't have resources. So we like hearing that.
Yeah, that is an area, it's largely the razor's edge right now, but it's an area we want to expand because we can provide a tremendous amount of value to smaller nonprofits through that team. Mary, who leads that team, is scheduled to join us today, but she's a lot of times she's at the whim of client emergencies as her busy season is ramping down. What we'll do now is just quickly, those of you that are on the line from Barker and Scott, if we could just do a 15-second introduction, and I'll start. This is David Price. I'm a principal with Barker and Scott, and have been working with Barker and Scott for about 8 years.
All right, I'll go next in a go-to meeting. My name is Ingmar. I've been with Barker and Scott for I think 2 years, maybe 3 years. I was a principal consultant at Blackbaud, and my specialty is in data integration and data quality management.
I guess I'm next on the list. This is Jeff Como. You all know me. I've been in the nonprofit industry for the last 12 years. The first 10 as CIO for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and recently started my own consulting practice around strategic technology alignment for the nonprofits.
Hi, this is Lisa Eggers. I've been with Barker & Scott for just over 11 years now. I was a Barker & Scott client when I was with WETA Television and Radio. I've been in the nonprofit sector off and on for about 28 years now, with a couple of stints in the for-profit sector, working with system integrators and software developers. My specialty is business analysis, database management.
And Vicki, we saw you sneak in.
Sure. Hi, I'm Vicki Frawley. I've been with Barker & Scott just about 6 months now. I'm based up in Boston, and I've been working in the nonprofit marketplace just about 20 years, specializing in some of the business analysis, business process, and project management.
Great. And Vicki, just so you know, this is being recorded. All right, Dan, I'll turn it over to you. We are yours.
All right, thanks very much. I'll start with Mark Feinberg, who's the president of Nonprofit Easy and Fundly, to make introductions. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey guys, Mark Feinberg. Are you guys able to hear me okay? I'm president of I'm president of Nonprofit Easy and the Fundly suite of products. I'm very excited about the potential of working with you guys. Jeff has spoke very highly of you, and we are interested in learning more about how we can help you guys, and Dan will get into the details in terms of the platform, and we'll continue talking. Also, Lomesh Shah, who's the CEO of Nonprofit Easy and Fundly, will be joining at some point here shortly. He's finishing up another call. So good to
No, Mark, I'm here, guys. Good to be on the call this morning. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, and so I might be going in and out as I'm going to be driving, but I'll be listening into the presentation, and also very keen on finding out how we can actually work together. So.
Thanks, Lamesh, and I'll round it out. This is Dan Wayne. A little background on me. I spent the last 8 or 9 years in the nonprofit technology space. I've worked for Blackbaud as an analytics and Razor's Edge representative on the sales side, and then worked for Sage Software for some time, and have been with Nonprofit Easy for over a year. So my interest is in CRM and data integration, and I'm excited to show you guys our platform today and how some of this integrates together, with the CRM being the core piece of our offering. So I'm going to go ahead and take this away. Are you able to see my screen at this point?
We see you moving your mouse.
Yes. With the Fundly logo?
I'm sorry, what was that?
We could see a screen with the Fundly logo. Yes.
Okay.
And now yes, we're good.
All right, perfect. I just wanted to make sure you guys could see and hear. So I'm just going to get into kind of who we are as a company for about 5 minutes, and then we'll do full platform review, looking at our different products and services. Just to kick things off, the story we tell is that the nonprofit technology space is oftentimes siloed, and a lot of the technology is outdated and expensive, as you guys have probably seen with Salesforce and Blackbaud. Some of their offerings aren't really right or ripe for the mid-market, and even some larger organizations that don't have budget for large professional services and technology expenditures. So we like to think that we are a fit for scale, and we scale very nicely from small to mid-sized organizations all the way up to large enterprise staples in the industry. I'm just going to go ahead and getting some feedback on my side. I'm gonna mute everyone if you don't mind. I'm hearing myself talk. And if you guys have any questions, I'll unmute you and you can chat into the GoToMeeting. I just want to mute everyone real quick so that we can keep going here. Sometimes it gets a little lonely when you're the only one talking, so I will unmute some of you throughout the presentation, and obviously I want this to be interactive. So let's talk a little bit about what we do and talk about the Fundly platform. So Nonprofit Easy. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna mute everyone on the line. Not sure who the culprit is here. All right, so Nonprofit Easy is the name of our company. Sorry, I'm just I'm trying to mute everyone and seeing if there's someone that I left unmuted. Okay, so Nonprofit Easy is the name of our company. The organization was founded in 2012. Lamesh Shah, who's on the line, is the founder CEO of the company, and he really built the company around feedback from nonprofits in Northern California. It started out as more of a hobby, and it became a full-time business for him, and we've expanded and grown pretty substantially since then and made some acquisitions in the marketplace. So as of last year, we took our product suite and we rebranded the product suite and the product line as the Fundly suite of products after we acquired the Fundly crowdfunding and peer-to-peer fundraising platform in the middle of last year. So what you see is different products in the marketplace that serve about 3,000 different nonprofit organizations, and as you can see, we have different offerings for different specific functionalities. So our CRM is at the core of the offering, and then we have volunteer management through Fundly Connect, and crowdfunding and peer-to-peer fundraising for events and for campaigns and team raising on the online fundraising side. So we really have different offerings. These offerings can be white labeled in the marketplace. So we've had some different parties interested in white labeling our crowdfunding solution. We've had other clients come to us to white label a CRM. I'm in discussions with different large enterprise groups about potentially rolling out an enterprise white labeled solution for their affiliates. So there's different things we can do with the technology. It's all cloud-based technology, so it's all accessed through through the web, and it's all platform agnostic, so you can be on a PC or an Apple or an iPad. It doesn't make a difference what device you're on or what browser you're using. We have different partnerships in the marketplace. We work with different colleges and universities with our Fundly Giving Days and our Fundly on Campus program, where we have school ambassadors promoting the Fundly platform throughout their school and raising money for dance marathons and for different giving days that go on at universities. We also have partnerships with organizations like Points of Light, who have selected our volunteer management platform as a replacement strategy for their hands-on affiliates, which are about 250 different volunteer centers across the U.S. So Points of Light selected our Fundly Connect platform as the platform of choice after an evaluation of about 10 different volunteer management vendors. So I'm actually managing a data migration project for many organizations who are interested in moving away from Salesforce and the Hands-on Connect product and looking to move to Fundly Connect. So we're now an option in that marketplace with volunteer centers that have connections with hundreds of nonprofits in their region. We also have partnered with a direct mail agency that you may be familiar with, and Innovair has been impactful and very helpful in helping us build out our direct mail capabilities and our direct marketing segmentation capabilities and functionality within our CRM. So we'll be looking at that module today, and we can talk a little bit more about how they've influenced the product later on. Just looking at market coverage, we work with, on the crowdfunding side, individuals as well as nonprofit organizations. So primarily I work strictly with our enterprise nonprofits who are raising millions of dollars on the Fundly crowdfunding platform, but we also do work with individuals. We have people raising money on our sites that are raising money for funerals and for all kinds of different ventures, whether it's a trip to Japan for their missionary trip or something along those lines, or like I mentioned, a funeral, or to help someone with their healthcare costs. I mentioned the volunteer management piece, and then we service organizations through kind of all of our products. So we have a number of different ways that we impact different groups and different markets. It's also worth mentioning that we're an integrated platform. So we've built the platform with the CRM at the center, and we found that in the marketplace, there were a lot of vendors that specialize in volunteer management. There were a lot of companies that specialize in CRM, and there's a lot of companies that specialize in crowdfunding. But a lot of those companies were missing that CRM piece, and they were missing integrations with different vendors and different products out there, so you get a full donor profile and a full view of the individual and the supporter. So what we do is we sync our products. They are separate products, but integrated products. So we sync our Fundly Connect volunteer management product, and we sync our Fundly Enterprise crowdfunding product into the CRM. So if you make a donation through the crowdfunding site, that information flows into the donor database, into the donor CRM, and you have information about the source of that gift, the size of the gift, and you can then acknowledge the donor accordingly and communicate with the person for cultivation purposes. The same is true with our volunteer management system. A lot of organizations have disparate volunteer databases alongside of their donor CRM, so they're not really getting a full view of who their donor is or who their prospective donor is who volunteers. So giving that ability to see volunteer information alongside of donor information is a need in the marketplace, and something that we've kind of figured out with this integration between the two products. So I'm gonna stop sharing slides now and take a look at the chat window to see if we have any questions, and then we'll get into the actual product. Does anyone have any comments or questions? I know I've muted everyone just because I was hearing myself, which, as you know, can be pretty tough. So I'm gonna switch gears if no one has any questions, and we're actually gonna take a look at product now and go from there. I'll briefly hit on also some of the client base that we work with, and I'm gonna pull up examples of some of our clients so you get an idea of the scope of the client, the size of the client, and how they're using our systems and infrastructure today. I'm going to start with our crowdfunding product and pull up some different examples for you. So just give me 1 second and I will flip over my screen here. All right, so we're going to spend the most time on CRM today, but I wanted to start with the crowdfunding piece since that's a branch of what we do. David asked, how far up the market do you think Fundly CRM can scale? 50 million non-for-profit size, 100 million revenue or higher. We work with clients that are in that range today. We have clients that have millions of records in Fundly CRM. We think it's a very scalable product. With that being said, we also do understand, as a newer entry to the marketplace, there's pieces we're always adding, and we love to take recommendations from our clients as well as from folks like maybe Barker and Scott or fundraising consultants in the industry, folks like Jeff Como, to help us influence technology decisions and help us integrate with different outside third-party products and services. So, we certainly think we have a very modern UI, a very modern experience for the user at the nonprofit, for the administrator, for the major gift officer, for the development department, and for the fundraising staff. So we don't necessarily think there's a limit on how far we can scale. With that being said, there's certain functionality pieces that we constantly add, and if there's something missing in that in that RFP or something along those lines, it's something we want to know about.
Yeah, this is Mark. I'll just add to that real quick. So with the relationship that we formed with Innovair, the initial strategy was to focus on the small and medium-sized organization. The relationship with Innovair, who works with 500 of the largest organizations in the world, have brought us into those relationships. So, and in terms of scalability, we worked with Innovair to ensure the product was scalable. And then from a functionality standpoint, as you'll see, we're deeper in the direct mail functionality. A lot of that came from Innovair, but a lot of that is required for the clients that we're dealing with on the larger end. Lamesh, who's on the line, can talk to absolute specifics in terms of contact records for some of those larger clients. We could either do that now, or that could be a follow-up.
And Lamesh, I know you're muted, so I'll just unmute you real quick. Do you want to add anything to that comment?
No, basically, our clients, we have clients that have 1,000 donor records, and our largest client has about 1.3 million 0 to 24 month, with about a total of 4.5 million donor records altogether. And those guys, we hold in our database about 62 million transactions for them. So we have the ability for the CRM piece to scale fairly nicely, irrespective of the size of the clients. But then it's also simple enough and configurable enough for it to work for organizations that are 500,000 in revenue.
Thanks. And we'll take a look at some of the functionality in just a few minutes. Before we do that, though, let's look at our crowdfunding product, which is called Fundly Professional. We actually have two crowdfunding and peer-to-peer platforms. We have a product called Fundly Professional, which is the legacy Fundly business that we acquired last year to get us kind of into the forefront of the crowdfunding world. And with that acquisition, we obtained some larger enterprise clients in addition to who we already had in our books through the Innovair relationship. And as part of that acquisition, we obtained clients like Habitat International and Indiana University and United Way Worldwide, Teach for America. They're all doing crowdfunding and team raising and campaigns through our online pages and our Fundly platform for crowdfunding. So again, this product is called Fundly Professional. Within the Fundly Professional product, there's different functionality that you can turn on. And what these clients that I'm showing you have done is basically decided, hey, we want to have a home base and a headquarters for our crowdfunding and for our peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns. So we've provided them with a domain, and basically they have the ability to post all of their crowdfunding campaigns on this domain. Some of these organizations actually allow outside partners to create campaigns that roll up to the organization. So for instance, if we look at First Book, they actually have the ability on their what we call a cause page. This is what we call a cause page. They have the ability to basically give their partners and give their supporters a chance to start a campaign so that people can create campaigns on the fly, and that money rolls up to First Book. And basically there's one payment processor. So they have corporate partners and different nonprofit partners that they partner with, raising money, schools raising money, that all end up in First Book's bank account. So we can click on any of these campaigns, and we've broken these out by popular campaigns and featured campaigns, and there's different rules around what that means. But I can click on a campaign now and decide, hey, this is something I want to give to, or this is an interesting campaign because I was affected somehow. So that's really what the cause page structure allows an organization to do, is promote how they affect the community. It gives people the ability to search for campaigns or search for fundraisers in that environment. So I could search the Habitat for Humanity website or their cause page for a certain fundraiser who I'm trying to give to. You can see they've raised over $11 million on the platform historically. So there's a number of different ways we enable and engage organizations for crowdfunding campaigns. I'm going to go ahead and actually get into the back end of the system and show you some of the unique functionality with Fundly Professional. So as an organization, you can sign up for Fundly Professional at no cost. There's no upfront or monthly cost to run this platform. And the way that we make money is on the back end. We take a transaction fee off the top. So when donations come in, we take a 4.9% transaction fee, and then there's a 2.9% credit card transaction fee on top of that. So in this example, and really throughout the demonstration, I'm going to be presenting as an organization called the Atlanta Charitable Society, which is it's a real organization. It's just a small nonprofit here in town I sit on the board of, and I tend to use them as my test subject for demonstrations. So they get some additional exposure, hopefully, through these demonstrations. But as a user, you would log into the Fundly Professional homepage, and that would log you into your profile. From your profile, you have a list of the different campaigns that you manage. You have the ability to toggle back and forth between campaigns. There's no limit in terms of how many you can create, and then you can create new campaigns on the fly. In this case, I've created a pretty generic Atlanta Charitable Society campaign page, and when I do that, I have the ability to edit my page, and what this gives the user is really just a 1, 2, 3 kind of step-by-step process in terms of, hey, here's where we're fundraising, here's why we're fundraising, here's images about the campaign, more information about the campaign, and then my different giving levels and what that giving level provides. So you can change the colors of this. You can look at some advanced options, put in a background image, change your header color and your logo so that it's branded really as your campaign page, as you can see in the upper left here. So we give the ability to the user to quickly come in and edit their fundraising campaign page, and you can do this really in a matter of minutes and create your campaign and launch your campaign. We utilize 2 different payment processors for Fundly Professional. We utilize Stripe and WePay as our 2 processors. So all of the funds that are given to the campaign will be listed in your funds section, and in this case, I'm connected to the WePay payment processor, as you can see here, and I have the ability to access my account as well as see what kind of funds I've raised. So I could come in here and open up my WePay account and get into that. So funds are available within 24 hours generally. WePay and Stripe have different risk measures that they take and different risk analyses that they put donations through. But generally within 24 to 48 hours, you're going to have your funds in front of you. So it's a quick process. There's no raise requirement on Fundly. So if you raise $20 and your goal is 100, you're going to keep that $20. Obviously, less any expenses on the platform and credit card transaction side. We also give you different abilities to download your data very quickly and easily, so you can get your fundraiser data out if you have fundraisers that you've deployed, or you can get your donor data out if you have a need for the list of donations from the platform that you want to download, maybe to import into a CRM or put into a different system. So I can quickly get information out of the system. Just pulling up the Excel here to show you what the export looks like. So you can see here the contribution level, the first name, the last name of the donor, if they had a fundraiser that they gave to, and a number of other fields. We also do some pretty cool things with this platform, and one of those things is integration with Facebook. We've been grandfathered into Facebook's kind of holy grail in terms of integrations. So as a user, if you're at a nonprofit, if I'm working for Atlanta Charitable Society and I want to post to my personal Facebook page, which is Dan Wayne up here, I can do that every time I get a new supporter or a new donor or a new fundraiser to my personal page. The unique thing that you can do, though, is you can add a Facebook page to the integration with Facebook. What this allows you to do, and what this will do, is connect with Dan's Facebook. So whoever the user is who has signed in, it'll connect to his Facebook page, and then it'll look for any pages that he manages on the side. So this would be the Atlanta Charitable Society's Facebook page, or Habitat for Humanity's Facebook page. They can connect and link their page to their campaign. And what this allows you to do, I'm going to open up Facebook here. What it allows you to do is basically embed a donation form from Fundly Professional for your campaign to your Facebook page. So I can come into my Facebook profile and open up the page that I'm managing. You can see some different posts here that have posted to my Facebook page. And then I have a donation form that's pulling from the campaign, and it's embedded right there in your Facebook page. And you can name this Donate, obviously. So it's done directly from the Facebook wall, and it doesn't take you to an outside site or anything like that. So once my page has been linked, you can also auto post to that Facebook page anytime you get a new supporter, new donor, new fundraiser. So this is a pretty unique capability, and if I make if I'm a supporter coming on to the Facebook page and I see a place to donate, I can make a $10 donation and fill out my information right here. A credit card screen will come up, and it'll actually post right back to your page in Fundly. So you'll see 3 donors and $1,710 as the total raised once you've obtained some different gifts through Facebook. Going to spend just another minute on the crowdfunding side, and then we'll switch gears and get into the CRM, since I know we have a limited amount of time. But another cool thing that we do, and I'll actually bring this into the presentation later, you have the ability to embed campaign cards, donation buttons, become a fundraiser button, and donation forms into really any CMS or any website that you desire. So I can basically take this script for this campaign card, copy it, and put it into my WordPress site or my my Joomla site or whatever I'm using as my CMS, and this will post this card as a widget onto my site. So it's just a nice functionality that kind of surfaces the campaign through a different channel and gets awareness out about the campaign. You also have email capabilities from within the system. And using the email, you basically have the ability to upload contacts, and we have these different wizards throughout the platform that appear on your screen, like, just recommendations and steps for you to take. Once you get into the email section of Fundly Professional, you can basically upload contacts from Gmail, from Yahoo, or do it manually through CSV. Then you have the ability, once you've uploaded those individuals, to select really who you want to send this to and search the list for contacts and send them specific templates from the Fundly platform, like, hey, I'm trying to raise money, or if you're the campaign owner, hey, friends and family, our campaign's underway, click on the campaign page to donate, and it'll take you right to the page. So we have a full email capability with different templates if you're trying to get supporters or get fundraisers to raise money for you, that are baked into the system, where you can create your own messaging and insert your own image and kind of go from there. So we have full email capability in here as well. You get a dashboard along with the campaign that shows you metrics on how many people have come to your page and how many emails you've sent. You have different quick tips here, and obviously posting updates is important as well. The final thing I'll mention is we do have two different types of models for Fundly Pro. You can have campaigns, which we're looking at right now. You can also have events, and the main difference is you simply have event registration. I'm not going to get too much into that today, but you have the ability to basically sell tickets or sell registrations to your event, along with put up sponsor logos and just do a few other things. So it's the same platform, it's just a different function of the platform. The last thing I'll mention with the campaign page is you can turn on personal fundraisers. So as you can see here, I have personal fundraisers turned on, which allows people to raise money for me. And that's a key part of peer-to-peer fundraising, is deploying fundraisers and having your supporters and colleagues and whoever else raise money for the campaign. That's really where the most successful campaigns come from, is when we have other people raising money, it's not just us slapping up a campaign page and say, donate now. You also have teams where the administrator can create a team. So it's a hierarchy within the Fundly Professional platform, where you have the campaign page, which we're looking at here, and then you also have teams. I have one team here, as you can see, Team Innovate. And I'm going to get some wizard stuff coming up here, but as you can see, Team Innovate has their own page raising money for the Atlanta Charitable Society. And then the team can have fundraisers underneath the team page that can sign up for the team page. So it's really a nice hierarchy. It gives the ability for a team to actually edit their own page. As you can see, it's a little bit different when they edit their page. They can describe their team. They can assign a team captain. They can define if they want this to be a public team or a private team. And they can insert their goal and some other additional information. So that's the Fundly Professional platform in a nutshell. The other thing I'll just mention is we do have e-commerce integration, and this is something that does differentiate the platform from other vendors out there. Okay, so as you can see here, I haven't baked these out completely, but I have different giving levels, and we actually integrate the product with a third-party vendor called Spreadshirt that does product fulfillment for swag, right? It's mugs and T-shirts and different products that basically different products that you can brand with your organization's emblem or logo. So it's a pretty nice feature, I think. It's something where you can actually design a product and then sell that product like an iPhone case or a shirt or a hat, and that it's something that's really cool. So when you design your giving levels, that will open up the Spreadshirt integration and basically allow you to select a product, and then it'll tell you how much that product costs, and you'll assign that to a certain giving level. So it helps with people's motivations to give, in terms of, hey, I might give $25 more if I know I'm getting a T-shirt out of this, or if I see something or some product that looks like it would really be something I desire. So that's Fundly Professional. Again, we have cause pages, which are the headquarters for organizations. Some cause pages allow you to create your own campaigns if you're a supporter. As you can see, Indiana University has different schools raising money. They also have sports teams raising money. So they have a number of different structures and a number of different setups for this product. So here was a campaign for United Way and their Club Connect program, and that was in Genesee County in Flint, Michigan. So I'm going to switch gears now and get into the CRM. Just going to close out some of these tabs. All right, so we're now looking at our single sign-on. I've logged into my account, basically just put in my name and password, and I'm in the account section of the Fundly CRM and Fundly Connect products. When I log into my account, you'll notice at the top of the screen I have Fundly CRM and Fundly Connect. So I can select which product I want to get into from this single sign-on. You also have application roles in the system. So I can determine based on, oops, and I need to sign back in. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so I think Alan has just joined us. Hello, Alan. From the accounts screen.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, good to hear your voice, Alan. This is Dan with Fundly. We're just going through the CRM portion of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and mute you since I was getting a lot of feedback from other participants. So from the account section in Fundly, again, you have the ability to access the CRM directly from that screen. I have different accounts, so it's going to show me which account do I want to log into. This is worth mentioning. If you're an agency managing services for nonprofits, this is one of the setups that we could deploy for you. And you could have all of your different clients' instances of CRM listed here, and you'd have the ability to access their CRM and change clients with the click of a button. So I can get into a client, and if I'm an agency or if I'm a professional services provider, I can come in here and click Switch Client, and that's going to take me right back out to my list of clients and my list of organizations that I work with. So I have two different CRM instances that I'm going to show you today. This is the integrated instance. I don't have a whole lot of data in this instance, so I'm going to actually toggle back and forth. Not too much, but I'll toggle towards the end and look at the integrated CRM that we have to our volunteer management and to our crowdfunding system. But this is the database I wanted to show you. So I'm logged in here as a user. Again, it's all cloud-based. It's all browser agnostic and platform agnostic. Doesn't make a difference what device you're on. Obviously, on an iPhone, it's not going to look nearly as good just because the screen can't expand that big. But the program will minimize and maximize, and menus will change based on the size of the device that you're on. So on an iPad, this looks really good. If you're on the road, you can access this system from really anywhere that there's internet. When you log into the system, you access a dashboard, and this dashboard is going to tell you a little bit about the health of your philanthropy and the size of your database and the number of records that you have in the database, as well as organizational records. You have dashboard windows, as I call them, or widgets, down along the home screen. So we give customers the ability to configure which dashboards they want to surface on their home screen. If you are not a membership-driven organization, you might take membership off. These dashboards are basically configurable by by whatever we're looking at. So if it's a membership trend chart, I want to look at all my active members or all my members who changed membership year over year. So I could look at 2016 versus 2015 over 2014 and select these on or off. So it's going to show me more or less information based on the dashboard that I'm looking at. So these are coming from reports in the system. They're just visualized reports. We've done a number of different types of reports, especially with donations and giving trends. You'll have the ability to come in here and look at gift sources and say, hey, I want to look direct mail, how we've changed year over year, and compare and look at 2013 versus 2014, how many acquired donors we had in those moments. So we give about 20 to 25 different dashboards here, just things that would be helpful for people in the development department or on the administrative side. If you're looking to see how you're sourcing income, for instance, you have that ability here, and you can sort by year and by program, for instance, if you're trying to look at programs. We also have our list of modules. Again, this is, I think, a pretty modern UI compared to other platforms that I've sold and other CRM systems that I've just been privy to in the industry. It was actually one of the reasons I came on board to Nonprofit Easy. Is I looked at the technology and I looked at the market and I thought, wow, this is a great UI and a great experience. So when you look at your module list, you have it broken out into different sections, obviously. And the first thing I generally mention is configurations. And configurations in the system are broken out by section. So custom data sets, appeal configurations, email notifications. So you can come in here and create your own funds and set up your ask arrays and define your membership forms and membership levels. So, generally speaking, you would get in and you define what kind of contacts you have, what your donor categories are. This is all familiar stuff to you guys, I'm sure. So we can come in here and basically tell the system what types of prospects and what types of contacts are we tracking. And then along the left-hand side of your screen, you have all of your different categories for configuration. Most of these are just adding to the system. So you're just adding contact types, you're adding donor categories. There's going to be some that are out of the box. Some contact types like donor, for instance, is going to be out of the box. You also have the ability to configure your fundraising, which comes into play for direct mail appeals and other fundraising appeals. So obviously, the nonprofit down the street is going to track recency and frequency and amount differently than another nonprofit just up the street. So you might want to segment your fundraising amount groups differently than a larger nonprofit would. So I have different codes that I can create in the system and different descriptions of those codes that basically breaks down my donors into different segments and different groupings. So I could create different codes based on this. And this is really used for building your segments when it comes to direct mail and also reporting. So we'll get into that more. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what the configurations look like. Some of the configurations go a lot deeper than just adding to the system. So for instance, membership levels. If you're looking to add membership or add a membership level to the system, you can see it's kind of a 5-step process, and this gets pretty detailed. So I don't know does someone want to maybe type in, do you guys work with a lot of membership-driven nonprofits? Okay, so Lisa, we're gonna hit on membership definitely today. I want to come back to this just to give you the full overview, but we'll come back to membership. It's good to hear that you do work with different types of organizations that do membership. So you have your configurations, which we've kind of covered, and there's a lot more to this, obviously. At the top of your screen, you have searching the database. You have quick adding information to the database. You have a list of your last 10 individuals that you've looked at. You also have invoicing, which I'm not going to click on right now, but invoicing is unique to this system in that we create an invoice anytime revenue is coming into the organization. We're going to create an invoice, or anytime a payment has been made to the organization, we're going to create an invoice. Let's see. All right, Lisa just said most are heavy direct mail membership-driven organizations that do offer membership. Good to know, and we'll take a look at our direct mail module in just a second. Before we do that, let's just look at the searching capabilities of the CRM. So when you go to search the database, I think we've made this easy to use for many organizations and for many users, in which you can create a saved search. So I could save my search if I wanted, but I have the ability to select the type of search that I'm looking for. I'm looking for individual prospects. Then you have some basic field information that you could fill out here. But you also have other criteria. And other criteria is really where you build your query. So I'm going to say, okay, we're building a query that has to match the following rules. I'm looking for people in the city of Atlanta. And I'm also looking for people in the city of Atlanta who volunteer. So we've connected this to our Fundly Connect product, let's say. I have different groupings here that allow me to look at volunteer data along with donation data. So if I wanted to look for people who have volunteered greater than 5 hours, I could do that. In this system, I don't think I have the connection turned on, so I'm gonna do something else. I'll say, all right, let's look at giving history. So I'm looking for folks who have made a gift amount greater than $100. So really, it's an all or any and or type of criteria matching. We'll keep it simple for now, and then we can get more advanced as we get into the direct mail part of the presentation. So this will search the system. You can see it's loading up here. Once this searches, we're going to be able to do different things with that group of people that gets returned. So once the system returns that query, I'll be able to come in here and basically tag those people, send them email, do a number of things with the grouping that allows me to build on the group that I've created. Let's try that again. I'm not sure what happened there. Can you guys still hear me okay? It says connecting on my, there we go. Just wanted to make sure we were still online. So I've got 7 records that fit that criteria. As you can see here, you'll notice I have 2 Dan Waynes. I could very easily change my data hygiene settings and my dedupe settings so that it wouldn't be possible to add 2 Dan Waynes, but in this case, I've made them very relaxed. But you'll notice these are the 7 records that I have, and what I can do is select the entire group, and I can take specific action on that group. So I can merge contacts, I can send them a label or send them a letter and generate a label for that letter. I can create a smart tag, so maybe that's something I want to do, and I'll call these people ATL 100. And these update nightly. So what will happen is it's a smart tag, so anyone who fits these search criteria will be given that tag as I add more and more donors into the database. And then I can search on that tag moving forward. So I can also update my search and make this more granular. Maybe I want to look for, if I had 1,000 records here, maybe I want to narrow that down. I can also export the list to CSV. And what this will allow me to do is really pull out the giving history and the information that a lot of individuals and a lot of workers at a nonprofit would want to see. So you have, for instance, donor information like, do they want to receive phone calls? What are their communication preferences here? And how many times have they been sent direct mail since their last response? What's their average gift? What's their first gift? How many gifts have they made? All your RFM information along with averages like the person's Olympic average, which is a direct mail term, the most common gift amount, and then their demographic information along with those codes that you configured before. So what's the frequency code? What's the the recency code that this person makes gifts? So you can get data out pretty simply here. And then a number of other things I can do is if I use MailChimp, for instance, as my marketing tool, we have an integration with MailChimp, and this allows you to create new segments from the system, from the CRM into MailChimp. So I could create a new segment. It takes about 15 minutes to do this. I could call this ATL 100s. And as you can see, if the segment does not exist, then a new segment will be created in MailChimp. And the benefit of integrating this system with MailChimp is if you send your e-marketing through MailChimp and you send that email out to these 7 people or to that ATL 100 segment, it's going to append that communication record back in each of these donor prospect records. So within Dan Wayne's record, you will now see that, hey, he's been sent a piece of e-marketing or he's been sent a newsletter from MailChimp, and it will show that within the record. So I'm just going to show you what a record looks like, and then we'll move on to the direct mail module. Okay, so looking at my record, you can see the different contact type that I am. You also have a summary of his giving listed here, along with the different sources that I can basically sort and filter off of. If I want to look at his direct mail giving, I can do that. All the gifts that he's made, you can see some of the different types of gifts, the number of installments he has with his recurring gifts. I'm trying to find if I have a gift from my crowdfunding engine. So Fundly professional gifts would go in here as well. If this person made a gift through that Atlanta Charitable Society campaign, you would see source is Fundly professional, and you'll also see the acknowledgement status of whether or not the acknowledgement for that gift has been fulfilled. So the tags, as we just kind of put onto that group of 7 people, these are all the tags that we have for Dan Wayne. This will update based on a nightly refresh. You also have his communication preferences, so how he likes to be talked to and communicated with, and his newsletter categories that he's subscribed to. As you scroll down through the record, you have different windows again, and these windows will show different aspects of his engagement. We have custom data sets here that I've added, so Dan and Jim's prospect research data. These are some analytics scores that I've loaded into the system. I also have his event history, which ties to the events module within the CRM. So if I click on Girl Scouts camping night, you can see I've attended that, or he's attended that event. And if I click on the event, it's going to take me right into the event module and show me, okay, here's the event record, here's the transaction that was made by Dan. And I can see that he's an attendee to that event as well. You have breadcrumbs in the software, so if I get lost or if I need to go back very quickly, I can click on the breadcrumb and that'll take you back to Dan Wayne's record very quickly, so you don't have to go search the database again and go through that process. So a number of different blocks exist for his record. We give the user the ability to configure the layout of the record. So you can display which elements, whatever elements you'd like on the record, you can see I have some custom data sets here. And what I'm talking about is custom blocks of information that you're creating with different fields for your record. So golfer info might include handicap information, or my swing analysis. Student graduation data might be my GPA. So I can add certain elements to the record and then move these elements up and down based on the importance of my job. So if I'm in events management, that's probably the first thing I want to see. So now my event history has changed and moved, and I have different elements loading in the record. Okay, so that's really how a record looks. There's other things in here as well that are tied to different pieces of the CRM, like premium fulfillment. You can see I've got a soccer ball keychain pending on my record, which means I've set up a premium in the system that says, hey, this person gets a soccer ball keychain if he makes X amount or higher to us. I also have the Fundly Connect information, which is volunteer data. So I don't have any data in this record. I'd have to go over to my other dashboard here to show you that, which I will at a later time. So that's what a record looks like. Obviously, you can send email to the person directly from within the tool. You can also look at his financial details as opposed to his giving details. You can add a gift directly from the record. The gift management is something we can take a look at today if we want. But let's move on to the direct mail piece, since that's an important part of what you guys do, and I think something you'd like to see. So you navigate to your fundraising section of the software. This is the module that Innovair has helped us create with their 25 years of DM experience. So again, navigate to appeals, and we give the ability to process two different types of appeals. They can be email appeals, or they can be direct marketing appeals. Direct mail appeals, excuse me. This is the list of the different appeals that my organization has sent out over time, the status of those appeals, when the mailing date was. I go ahead and just look at some different appeals that I've sent out. You notice the status on some of these are different: selected versus new versus perform QC versus QC completed. So there's 6 or 7 different statuses that an appeal will go through prior to it being completed or migrated. The migrated is basically an imported appeal, so we won't look at those today, but let's look at some of these different appeals that I've set up, and then we'll create a new appeal. Okay, so this is the appeal module, and again, this is an appeal that I've kind of taken through to step 4. So I'm basically done with this appeal. My last step is to perform the QC and then get this out. But let's start from step 1. Step 1 is really, what type of appeal is it? So you click on mail or you click on email. Since this one's in the QC stage, I can't change it from a mail appeal to an email appeal. But you'll notice I have different fields here that I have to fill out. So what's the appeal code? This would generally be a number. And then what's the appeal name? What fund do you want the donations that you obtain from the appeal to go to? What kind of appeal is it? Is it acquisition? Is it a renewal? And we have some other, like cancellation and other our agency terms that Innovair uses. So those are kind of non-existent, but acquisition and renewal are really the two appeal types that you'd select. And then, is this associated to a campaign? So I have different campaigns that I've set up in the system in my configurations. I have a capital campaign that I'm currently running. And then what's the mail date for the campaign? So let's go ahead and change this to, let's say, March 11th. Okay. CRFA source is basically looking at each of the donors' RFM. We just use RFA as opposed to RFM. How do you want to calculate their calculated RFM, basically? So do you want to look at their direct mail engagement and donations only, or do you want to look at specific types of gift source RFM? This basically, I generally keep that blank. I want to look at all of their gifts across the board, or I just want to look at the direct mail gifts. So one of the two is generally what I'd select when I fill out my RFA source. And what this does is it's calculating RFM averages and different giving amounts from that gift source. You also have estimated revenue per 1,000 pieces of mail sent. This is really just an estimate that you can put in there if you're if you're an analyst, a direct mail analyst for the nonprofit. Scanline and premium rule, again, this is giving you the ability to send a premium and fulfill that premium directly from the system. We have premium fulfillment listed here, where you can actually create your premiums and then fulfill those premiums. But Scanline is a direct mail term that's designed to help a caging facility process donations. So in my configurations, I've set up a Scanline and I've set up some other coding that allows a caging facility and allows a direct mail shop to really process this. So within, let's see where it is here. There we go. In the appeal section here, you have different things that you'll need to set up before you actually proceed with your appeal, and Scanline is one of those things. So I can come in and click Scanlines, and you can see I have one Scanline, and I'll edit that to show what that looks like. And these are the fields that I'm tracking. I want the account ID, the client ID, and the transcode involved in the appeal when it processes that appeal. So we'll come back to this. It's really just a code. Again, you can use the breadcrumbs and go back to where you were in the system. So you can have different scan lines, but most organizations probably just have one. And then we'll hit save and proceed. Step 2 is to create your Univest or your universe estimate, and that's really going to be the groupings that you pull from, or you'll pull groupings from that universe estimate. So depending on how you want to build your segments, we give the ability to first build your universe estimate and then build out suppression segments as well as different branches from that universe estimate. So in this case, my universe estimate is all 0 to 3 month donors, right? My code R0, which I set up before in the configurations. And this is, and just so you know, you can save searches. So I have different searches that I've saved that I could easily pull in for my universe estimate down the road. So that saves you time. But your RFM is listed here along with donor category. So you can pull your universe estimate from those fields. You could also pull your universe estimate from the additional fields that we looked at earlier. So maybe I just want to look at, all volunteers, right? I could come in and look at the Fundly Connect information. I want to look at people who volunteered from a certain date to a certain date, or I want to look at members who fit a certain membership level. I could come into the advanced search, and I'd pull up all the memberships that exist in my system. And from here, I could basically build out my universe estimate. So maybe those would be some segments from my universe estimate. Maybe I do a membership appeal, and I start with all my members. So I would change my universe estimate from what it is now, which is 0 to 3 month donors, to all my different types of members. So you really have full ability to create whatever segments you want to develop your packages for. So step 2 is to create your segments. And I'll just just going to save this and add a new segment. So there's 10,325 people in this segment. This is again just a sample segment that I've created. It looks like it's the same thing. So I'm gonna change that and say, all right, I'm looking for people in segment 1, this Dana segment, to be people that have given $1 to $10 historically. Okay, so once I do that, I've changed the segment. What I need to do is actually pull my selects for that segment. So this will run in the background. So I've just basically selected, I've made a new select, and it will return with a new number once it's finished processing. So you can see, since I've done that, I no longer have the ability to move on to step 3 or step 4. While we're doing that, and while that's running, I'm hoping it'll come back within the next minute or so. You can also develop a new segment. So I'm going to do save and add new segment. Oops. Well, since I hit select, it's basically it's processing, so you're not allowed to build new segments, or maybe you are. I think it's because I hit save. But to add a new segment, you just click add segment here. So now we're going to do a suppression segment, and I'll call this Florida. All right, so develop your segment code, name your segment. Let's make it a suppression segment. What priority in the list of segments do we want this? So again, in this case, we're basically saying, I don't want anyone to be mailed who lives in Florida. Right. So since the appeals in process, it's not letting me save this because it needs to come back with the counts. So let's let this run, and I'm hoping it'll come back in the next minute so we can continue using this example. I'm going to open up my email because I'll get an email once it's completed. So I just want to pull that up and make sure that I see it come through. Let's go back into the appeals module, and let's open up one that has been selected already. So here's one called Dolph 1. Okay, in this case I have a universe estimate of 124,857 people. I have 29,000 in section 1, or segment 1, which is 0 to 3, 4 to 8, 9 to 12 month donors. I also have segment 2, which is people that have given greater than $250. There's all kinds of ways you could cut this up. I was showing this guy an example. But once you've done that, you need to create your packages. So once I have my segments, I need to create packages if I'm sending different content and different creative to those segments. So I'll just say appeal code is 1. And let's do one more. So I'm going to create 2 packages for those segments. So you have your segments listed here for your splits. And in segment 1, I have the 29,000 individuals. I can come in here and type in what percentage of these segments are to receive the brown package and what percentage of these segments are to receive the green package. So I will just say 60-40 in this case. And that will auto-calculate the number of individuals that fit those segments. 17,000 is 60% of 29,000, and 40% is 11,000. So you can do it that way, or what you can do is come in here and say, here's how many people I want to receive that. So probably not going to be as useful if you're sending huge pieces of direct mail to the segments. But this will give you at least an idea of how many people fit that category, and I can from here change that. But the numbers have to add up. So the numbers have to equal 29,328 plus 47, which is 29,374, in order to send the packages to the segments. You also need to select what your output file is going to look like. How do you want to combine the file? Basically, how do you want the Excel output file to look? Do you want to combine the package code and the segment code, or combine the segment code and the package code? And then what is your transcode methodology? Again, it's another direct mail term that you guys are probably more familiar with than I am, but it allows you to allows a caging facility or a processor to quickly process the direct mail. So I have a tran code that I set up in the system, and then I proceed with the next step. So I've created my splits, and now I have the different segments with the number of people that fit those segments. So as you can see here, I have my output file code, my file code. I can add tags to the output. And then this is something we haven't really talked about, but within the system you have ask arrays, and this is very important. An ask array is basically how you want to calculate the asks for that person in the direct mail piece. So in this section here, you have the ability to select your ask array. And I'm just filling out some of these different fields here. I also have a seed group, which would be you guys, the agency, and the seed group is generally who's going to be receiving and testing, and who wants to really oversee the direct mail piece and ensure that ensure everything's being sent out correctly. You then have your acknowledgement template. So what acknowledgement do I want to send to people who make gifts to the O1 DOLF1 segment? And from here I can create my acknowledgement template directly from within the system. So I have different acknowledgement templates I can add in here, and I can select my template. And as we proceed throughout the presentation, I'll get into our templates and really the functionality that goes with this. But we've basically taken Mandrill, which is MailChimp's backend system, and we've developed our own almost MailChimp-like functionality here, where you have the ability to drop and drag blocks and widgets into different templates, whether it be an acknowledgement template, an event template, an invite, something along those lines. So I can come in here and change the coloring and change the way that this looks. Okay, so you have the ability to create whatever templates you'd like. We have full photo editing capabilities within the acknowledgement creative. So maybe I want to change the width here, right, until it looks good. So I would continue changing until I'm satisfied. And then you also have fields, obviously, within the blocks. So within the text blocks, I can add certain placeholders if I want to show people the fund they gave to, or the gift amount, what that was. I can add that in here. Thank you so much for your field name gift amount to our organization. So all the fields for giving are basically listed here in the blocks that you can edit. So it's a pretty nice functionality, and giving you the flexibility to kind of create different templates and associate those templates to different appeals. So I can select my acknowledgement template. I'll call it Dan's acknowledgement. Let's preview this. Pretty ugly. But for that segment, I want Dan's acknowledgement. And then for tributes, maybe I select another one. So I'm going to go ahead and save this segment. And then for the next one, maybe I don't want to use Dan's acknowledgement. Maybe I want to use Untitled, right? Or maybe I want to use the donation acknowledgement. So you can set up different acknowledgements for different packages here. Just give me 1 second. I just want to check my email. Okay. So again, different acknowledgement templates for different segments, also different ask arrays for different segments. For this ask array I had for high donors. That's just the name of my ask array. For this segment, maybe I want the direct marketing standard house ask. And really what these ask arrays look like, I'll navigate over to the ask arrays section of our configurations. So you get an idea of how we calculate the asks for everyone who's going to receive those different packages. So within fundraising, you have ask arrays, and you would set these up prior to sending out a direct mail piece. And these ask arrays show up in email appeals as well as direct mail appeals, as well as on online fundraising pages. If, for instance, I log into the Atlanta Charitable Society donation page as a donor, the asks that show up on that donation page will change based on the ask array that I've created. So asks for online donations might be the ask array that I use in conjunction with my online giving. So let's go ahead and look at an ask array. Let's look at the direct marketing standard house ask. So here we're basing our ask array ranges based on the donor's average gift amount, and we're applying the rounding of the ask to the nearest $5. I also have the ask array details, which is really the meat of the matter. And you'll notice I have different ranges in my ask array details. This is based off of the average gift amount that a donor has made. So again, this would probably look a little bit differently. This would probably look a little bit more like this. So if a donor falls in these ranges, their average giving falls in these ranges, what are the ask details that I want to show up? So if my giving is between $0 and $10, what is the direct mail ask going to look like? How much is that going to be? So it's going to be a fixed amount for the first ask at $10. And the second one's going to be a calculated ask. And let's say the second one's going to be a fixed ask as well for $25. And then the third is going to be a fixed of $50. But ask number 4, we're going to do a little bit differently. It's going to be a calculated ask, and it's going to be based on the individual's highest gift amount. And we're going to multiply that highest gift amount by 1.75. We're going to round that up to the nearest $5. And you can have a minimum ask and a maximum ask here. So again, we're looking at in the ranges here of $0 to $10. So if my range of giving is between those levels, my average gift is between those levels. Let's say the minimum is $10 and the maximum is going to be $250. So it'll calculate based on the person's highest gift amount, which correlates to the range of their average giving, and it'll calculate an ask array number 4 for that person. So that's ask arrays. You can set these up. You can set up different ask arrays for different average gift ranges if you'd like, and get very detailed with this. But just understand that you're using the average giving of a person's historical gift value to your organization in developing your ask details. Does anyone have any questions yet at this point, or Want to add anything to what I'm showing you? Lisa, I'm going to unmute you so you can talk if you had anything to add. I'm curious, your managed services, are the mid-sized organizations that you work with doing a lot of direct mail, or is it mainly the larger groups that you work with that are pumping out a lot of direct mail and different appeals?
Hi, this is Mary. We're doing a fair amount of direct mail with the mid-sized to small organizations. We have one that actually majority of their gifts still come in through direct mail versus online.
Sure. And how do you develop your segments today, and how do you send out the direct mail appeals today?
A lot of them are not using like the frequency or ask segments or strings in them. They're basically breaking them out into groups of what their overall giving has been in the past, or average gift has been in the past, and sending out. They're not as sophisticated as I think the larger organizations. They'll just send out 1 to 2 different types of letters. So one for major givers versus an average giver. They're not, like I said, very sophisticated in that particular ask.
Understood. And you can update all your segments if you're more of if you're a simpler shop or you're a smaller shop. Obviously you might not have 100,000 pieces of direct mail you're sending out. Maybe you're just sending out 10,000 pieces on a quarterly basis or something like that. You can send out and update all of the segments with the same acknowledgement, the same tribute, the same ask arrays if you desired. It's pretty flexible in the way that you develop your packages. You can have one package if you want, or you can have 10 packages if you'd like, and this can get pretty matrix-y, if you will, in terms of how you're splitting this. And then obviously on your segments, the way you create these segments can be pretty simple. Hey, do we just want to send to all of our 0 to 3 month donors? Or that's going to be one of our segments. And then we want to look at lapsed donors as our second segment. So you can make this pretty basic. The key is, and save your searches really, so I could just pull in old segments if I wanted, which allows me to quickly do this. And then you basically create your output and QC it. So I'm going to save this and then QC it. Let's see, 1 or more of the range of the selected ask array does not contain a formula. So what that means is I haven't actually set up my ask array correctly for one of them.
Hey Dan, this is David. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This has been very helpful, and we're doing quite the deep dive into direct mail. I've been putting some questions from the group into chat, not intending for you to have stopped your presentation, but just saying when you can get to them. It might make sense to start looking at some of those questions or looking at other areas of the systems. I think we get it when it comes to direct mail.
Gotcha. Okay.
Folks may want to see gift entry. That's always very important. But I think some of the questions speak to the breadth of the product's functionality.
Sure, absolutely. Let's see. Lamesh, did you want to add something?
Well, I think David sort of addressed it. I was going to say that let's check in with the audience to see if you want to do a deeper dive or if you want to actually broaden the conversation. So I think let's just move to the questions and sort of go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see the questions coming in. Sorry, I see like 7 or 8 now.
Yeah, no, they weren't. No problem at all. They weren't meant to interrupt you. They were just meant to start to put them all in one place.
For sure, for sure. So we'll continue on, and let's kind of take a look at what you had put in here. Lamesh, in terms of telemarketing, and how we support that, can you maybe talk about any plans we have to support telemarketing and what we do today?
Yeah, so right now, as you can see from the system itself, telemarketing is not a module. People have used this, they create the groups and they export the groups and give it out to telemarketers. And then each one works off the list and then they come back in, and depending on the pledges that have been made on the phone, they will upload those back as the batch entry back into the system. This year at least we have a fairly full plate in terms of what we need to get done on the CRM side, but telemarketing is on the roadmap for some time in the fourth quarter to 2017 type, where the same process that you would use to create groups would then actually go into an auto dialer system, where you would be able to then pick it up and get and assign it to different telemarketers. We sort of do that currently in our batch gifting piece, where you can actually create a batch process and assign it to different processors so that each one of them can process X number of checks and bring it back into the system for approval, and then somebody would approve those entries and push it into the system. So it's a similar process, but for now, telemarketing is not scheduled, at least for the near future.
All right. The question prior to that, and David, I don't know if you have anything to add to that or not, and how you guys manage telemarketing campaigns for your clients or anything, but I'll take that as a no.
I apologize. I was muted. Now, I think we've got a lot to cover in a little bit of time. So, we don't manage those programs for our clients, but we were just curious about the functionality.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
Major giving and planned giving would be the next highest priority question, I think.
Sure. In terms of planned giving, Lamesh, you want to take that one as well?
Yeah. So one of the things we've done is that, with the custom data sets, it allows you to actually create the flow of how you want to record your planned giving, including when some of those bequests are going to be due or when they mature. We personally inside the system do not hold shares or process shares, any of that stuff. But I only know of 3 systems, PG Calc being one of them, that actually is completely focused on planned giving. And we are in conversations with PG Calc to see if there is an integration point where you could leverage their system. The only issue so far has been that they are a desktop-based system, and once they move towards a cloud environment, we'll be able to connect to that. But for now, you can use our custom data sets to pretty much manage any incoming planned giving gift, any kind of it, including maturity dates and those pieces with a custom data set. We just don't automatically do any of the processing of requests and stuff inside the system. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, one of the things with our custom data sets is you do have transactional data sets. So what that means is I can change information on an individual's record for a set amount of time. If my planned gift likelihood changes over time, for instance, that can be changed, and the dates of those transactions will be stored. So that's just another option to kind of talk about. But let's move on to major gifts. So you have a number of different blocks in here that kind of support your major gift work, and stage of development is one of those important blocks. So in an individual record, on that record, you're going to have stage of development, and you have the ability to create your own stages in the back end of the system. So the client or the nonprofit can come in here and select what stage, almost like in a sales process, that client is in terms of major gift, moves management, or something along those lines. So I can take a look at Dan and add a note to his stage of development. Here I have some different stages and notes along with those stages and when the stage ended. So when I moved him from hot prospect to major gift candidate and a proposal sent, you also have interactions in terms of what types of interactions were made with that prospect at that current stage of development. Everything in the system is reportable. So all of these different fields can be brought into reports as well, and you can change and kind of see the stage based on the block that you're in. So that's one of the ways that we help support it, is the major gift officer can come in here and basically change the status of that individual. And then you also have interactions and tasks. So I can come in here and basically add a task or add an interaction for a donor or for a someone I'm cultivating, and I can add a title for that task. And this is going to search all, the entire database for all the Dans in there. So maybe I'm, my contact is Beverly Daniels. I'm following up with Bev, and you can set priorities. So you can have a high priority item. You can set reminders on screen or email notifications to hit your inbox to remind a major gift officer or remind someone that, obviously has a task coming up. Then you can also create your follow-ups directly in the system. And again, set reminders in the system so that you'll get on-screen reminders that pop up. And then you have a dashboard basically that shows your list of activities. This is still loading, but it'll show me all the activities that are due, and you can search by user for what those activities are and look at high priority items as well as things that are overdue or past due. And again, the type of interaction that it is. So I can look at all my in-person meetings coming up for, that are open. So it gives the users the ability to basically, and I can see all my users here since I'm the administrator, but I can look at each user and see what tasks they have upcoming. Maybe I manage a group of major gift officers' portfolios. Lamesh, anything you want to add to that? I think you're probably muted.
I can't hear him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I had I was muted twice here. I was going to ask you, more importantly, do you guys have any questions on that piece of it, or any additional things that you would like us to cover on that?
I assume people have the ability at this point. I don't think there's an echo to unmute themselves, and
yeah.
So I'd like to turn it over. I'd like to turn it over to the group for additional comments and questions. I know while we're waiting, I know events, gala events, that type of event was a question on how you manage it, and it looks like you're going right there.
Yeah.
All right. I'll move
events
on. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to just say, events is one of our most used modules, and it's also a very robust module. In fact, for this, I don't know if you have nonprofits that are involved with holding workshops as part of their mission, but it is one of the only event modules that I know of that actually does the management of workshops and those pieces better than anything else out there, including Eventbrite. So, and it's then you can go through it. But if there is any particular part of it that you would like us to focus on, events on, we can go through it. But in general, we can give you a broad overview real quickly of what the events module looks like.
All right. Looking at a Spring Gala event that I've created in the system, I have a gala coming up on Saturday, April 16th. I've already created the event and basically created the registrations for the event. So I'm starting from completion, and I'll show you. I just wanted to show you kind of what the dashboard looks like for the event, and then we'll get into the event setup so you can see how I got here. But this is essentially what will appear on your screen once you've created your event. You have information about the event. You obviously have different blocks about the types of registrations that we configured earlier. We have free, we have VIP, and we have students. The type of revenue coming in for the event, how people are paying us, and then recent registrations, and also an important revenue block here that shows you your net revenue, because we allow for expense tracking in the system as well. So, a lot of times people think their event did really well because they got a lot of revenue, but then they don't factor in the $20,000 rental for the venue and all that. So you can have expenses and track expenses along with your revenue in the event module and then report on that. So I'm just going to take you down through some of these settings. So as the events manager or whoever's leading the event, you have the ability to create a registration form. So I want to create, what are the required fields that I want from my event attendees? We also have the ability to include some custom information. So in this case, maybe I'm a horse therapy nonprofit, and I have some different information about equestrians that I'm trying to obtain. So these are the custom data sets I mentioned earlier, and we kind of looked at throughout the presentation with prospect research data and with maybe some plan giving information that you can add in to the event registration form. So you have full accessibility in terms of the fields of the system. You can create your own custom fields. So I want to put in a single line text, or I want to add in a drop down field. I can do that and basically edit what I want my options to be here. So you have a lot of different form configuration capabilities, and then you also have the ability to set up waitlist settings. So I can enable waitlist settings on the event, which will notify supporters who have signed up for the event if there's a capacity limit, if someone cancels their event registration. So I can activate the waitlist on the event when the registration type sells out. I can have a waitlist capacity and then give people a number of hours or days to respond to that event notification that, hey, a ticket has become available. You've been released for the event registration, and I can send out event waitlist groups information about the event and that they're now able to sign up. You also want to put in images about the event, perhaps. So maybe I want to include some different pictures of previous events. I can include sponsors. You can sell other items for the event. So I can add in, event pictures. The cost is $15. And then details about what you're selling. You can also customize the tickets for the event. So I have just different templates here, and then banner, I can include my own banner image to make this look really nice. So maybe, I want to include a nice looking ticket, and then I can select the placeholders and the fields that I want on my ticket. So if I don't need a barcode, I can take that off, for instance, and take the attendee name off if it's just a generic event ticket. So you have a number of different options here in terms of how you're building out your ticketing. And then you have invites. So I can send out invites for the event directly from the system, and I can create an invite from the tool. What you're looking at here is your event invitation metrics. So we've built this into the software so that when you send out your event invites and you start getting registrations from those invites, you'll be able to see how many bounces and registrations and opens you have. So I can create an invite basically by using the search criteria we've looked at before and select who I want to receive that invite in the second step. So just quickly to go through this. You can see I have a number of different templates that I've not named, but I can create a new template directly from here. Again, we have different templates in our system, so different event invite templates, which will appear on the screen, that you can edit and basically move blocks into or out of. Again, I always show the social media one, but you can put in a text block here about the event, information about the event, and then the fields will automatically pull from the event module. So what's the event name? Where is it located? Here's a map of the event. Here's a button that will appear that says attend the event. So it'll show up in the person's inbox with a button that directs them directly to the event page from the CRM.
So Dan, just real quick, guys. With this, think of it as a combination between your typical events where you have tickets that you're selling, but also your private invites are RSVP-based events. So it's a combination of your event ticketing system as well as Evite that a lot of you see in use where you're just basically looking for a yes, maybe, no kind of thing, and using the invitations built inside the event piece allows you to actually track the conversion rates on responses, as well as gives you the ability to do follow-up invites and communications based on quick selected criteria of who's actually looked at the invite, who's clicked on the invite, who's not clicked on the invite, who's not registered. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility in pursuing and doing follow-up communications to drive attendance at your events.
So I have my.
Do you interface with one of the auction packages?
Right.
Yeah, so we actually advise our clients to work with a startup company out of Colorado called Handbid, and we are in the process of actually integrating the two systems where all the donations and everything will flow automatically back in. Handbid is an excellent mobile auction platform. And they are able to suck all our data all the attendee data into their platform, and then obviously you can run the auction completely on Handbid and then move the data back into ours.
Could they create an extract to either a nonprofit's own fulfillment department or to some third-party fulfillment department?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So you send your invite on a certain date or send it now, and that's the invite process. When you're finished, you'll obviously start seeing conversion rates in terms of people that have registered from that invitation. You can also send out event documents and post those documents online. Notifications similar to the event invite, again, just a different template. So this is reminding people to attend the event at a certain time. So you have all that in your dashboard. When I click on edit on the event, you basically have the ability to create the event settings. So what's the name of the event? Where is it being hosted? You can type in the address of the event, save this. So now I have a venue map, and then I have a host for the event, and my event details. You then can schedule your settings, and this is a very important function for groups that have repeating events. I can repeat every certain amount of days or on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. So if I want to, select the first Tuesday of every month, I can do that here, which is a pretty nice feature so that the event will show up on the event calendar as a repeating event and for those dates. So we'll just make this for 416 from 10 to 2. And then we have our registration types. So what is our event capacity? This is really where the wait list triggering comes from. And you can also see we have student event invites as well as free registration, VIP, and then membership price. So maybe a member receives a discount. If they're a member, they receive a VIP level ticket for $50 cheaper than what it would be normally for normal people. So I can really just have different types of
And then let me just interject, since they have a lot of membership organizations. When you do the membership setting in here with the event, there's a lot of automation behind the scenes. So, for example, if they go to purchase the tickets, we automatically recognize whether they are a member or not member, and we will automatically offer the membership pricing. Also, if somebody tries to, so there is no chance of a non-member trying to buy a membership price. But if somebody checks out a membership while they're buying the event tickets, then it will automatically give them member pricing during checkout. So there's a lot of automation we've built behind the scenes to sort of facilitate membership organizations and convert people attending events into members as well.
Hi, this is Mary. Can I ask a quick question? I just want to make sure I understood what you just said, because we have a client that offers their members first year free to certain networker events. So can I set this up that depending on when somebody's membership came in, now they don't renew memberships, they're all lifetime memberships, just FYI on that.
Okay.
Could we set it up that that person only can check that first year free button and get zero cost, but once their year is completed, get the regular prompt for the pricing? So in other words, it tells you, I'm sorry, you don't meet the criteria for first year free. Your ticket cost would be this.
Yeah, so let me just make sure I understand your question. So what you want to do is, when somebody is checking out an event ticket, if they're not a member, you want to be able to offer a membership that is going to be free for 1 year. And then at the end of that year, you want them to either renew it, or you want them to renew as a lifetime member, correct?
No, actually it's opposite. Every membership that this organization does is a lifetime. The people who have a membership are allowed to come to networker events for free for their first year of their membership, but after that they have to pay for their events.
Ah, I see. So we need to check the membership. Well, I think it's a customization that we would be able to pull off for you guys. Right now, out of the box, we don't have that configuration where we check for the time they were a member, and if they were within the first year, then we allow them to, so we don't do that currently, but it's doable within the system.
Okay, great, thank you.
This is David, and we've been we've been collaborating on Skype with our questions, trying not to interrupt so much. But we all recognize that we're getting close to time, and we want to respect your time. One thing I want to clear up is, earlier on, we saw some functionality that it looked like when you were processing a donation, an invoice almost had to be created. We found that hard to believe for every donation.
Not true. You don't need to create an invoice. What we've done basically is that behind the scenes, we create an invoice. You don't need to do it. You just process the donation like you would process a gift, right? So-and-so $50 check for XYZ fund of the general fund, and you're done. You don't need to do anything other different than what you're currently doing when processing gifts. Behind the scenes, we create an invoice, and there's a good reason why we do that. Because especially for large amounts, sometimes people want to stagger how they give it to you. So when you record a gift, it gives you the ability to say, I want to schedule this over a period of time. Or In some cases, people are donating, buying event tickets, and they write a check that is possibly a partial payment, and it allows you to distribute the funds properly based on what their intent was. So the idea behind that was that it makes the integration into accounting systems much simpler. And it also gives a very quick track of where the partial payments lie, where there are unfulfilled payments. And sometimes in cases where organizations are also doing event tickets and they allow for refunds, there are credits issued. So that's the reason why we do the invoices, but you don't need to worry about it as somebody entering a gift. It's done automatically behind the scenes for you. So the perception that first you need to create an invoice and then record a gift is not true.
Hi, this is Lisa Eggers. I have a hard stop at 12, and I need to leave in about 3 minutes. So there was just one piece of feedback that I wanted to give you, particularly related to planned giving and the functionality related to it. We are certainly finding that our clients are relying more and more on planned giving functionality and being able to record different characteristics about different types of planned gifts, whether they're bequests, annuities, trusts, life insurance policies, bequests of real estate, various types of giving vehicles for that kind of estate planning. And that's something that I would encourage you to explore as a possibility, particularly as the boomers start to age and planned giving is starting to take on a bigger role within development. We're certainly seeing much more so. I mean, 20 years ago when I first started in this work, it was a minor piece, but now it's getting much more important. And PG Calc, even with an integration, we've had problems with clients that have tried to integrate with PG Calc. Even when that integration works well, it still is not sufficient for all kinds of giving vehicles. So just a little feedback there.
And here is what I would like to throw out is that, if we take this to the next steps, what we would love to do is work with somebody who is completely involved in planned giving to actually build it out. Everything that you've seen today in the system has been the result of collaboration with nonprofits and with consultants who work with nonprofits to build out pieces that will help the nonprofits, right? So we rely heavily on expertise that's there to sort of work the feature set inside the platform. So just so that I'm throwing that out to you as well, is that we would love to collaborate on that and make sure that it's done right, just like we did with the uplift piece.
That would be great.
We know, yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to run. This has been an excellent demo. It looks like a very solid product, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So we are at time.
I was going to say, David, what would you like? Any other questions that we might have before we wrap?
No, actually, I think we've had a chance to ask a lot of questions, given how much you guys invested in putting this all together today. Are there any questions that we could answer for you?
David, I have one, basically, is that, in your current setup, right, I would love to, it doesn't have to be right now, but even if it's in an email format or a subsequent call, we'd love to understand how you see the strategic fit and what we could do from our side to make that happen, so that we know a little bit about you guys and your organization from reading about it, and also from Jeff. But obviously, coming straight from you would be great. And how you see this possibly working, and what we would need to do on our side to make it happen.
Yeah, we would be, or I'd be happy to, and I'm sure some of my colleagues would be as well, to spend some time with you on another phone call, giving you some thoughts, giving you our perspective on the CRM marketplace. I'd also want to understand what part of the marketplace are you trying to solve for, because the answer could vary depending upon what you're trying to solve for. If you're trying to solve for the Red Cross, the answer is very different than if you're trying to solve for for community-based churches or different nonprofits. it's a wide range, but perhaps Jeff's kind of been our go-between. Maybe I'll leave it in Jeff's good hands to bring us together over the phone and have a very candid discussion.
Sounds like
a plan.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I'd be happy to.
I have one question for you guys, and that's really how much, in terms of crowdfunding and volunteer management, how much of that kind of stuff do you work with clients on, or at all? I mean, is that a piece of it?
We're seeing some clients experiment with crowdfunding. Some of them we saw you go through, actually. And I always liked Fundly as a crowdfunding platform before the acquisition. And I like what you've done in terms of trying to bring both products together. And I think keeping the Fundly name from a branding perspective was a really smart idea. Not that there was anything wrong with the nonprofit Easy, but that kind of puts you that puts you in a box, right? Kind of it puts you in a box that you may not want to put yourself in.
Right.
The nonprofit Easy name.
Yeah.
The volunteer piece, I wish we'd had time to get into more. We have a lot of clients that talk about wanting to do real volunteer management, tracking all the opportunities, volunteer interest, tracking time, the whole ball of wax. And that's a part of your product we did not get to see. It's also some functionality that even some of the solutions at the highest end of the market, I don't think have completely nailed down yet. Sorry, I've decided to cough during this part of the session. So I think that there is, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to it today, but perhaps the volunteer piece might be a bit of a differentiator for you.
Right. Yeah. And we strategically also, I think we see a big opportunity there because, at the end of the day, people who give time to money are your biggest cheerleaders, and they have a lot more invested in the success and the belief inside the organization and its mission, and they can be the biggest pushers for crowdfunding for a nonprofit.
It's an interesting product. It seems like you've gone deep into the volunteer piece. Obviously, you've gone deep into the crowdfunding piece. I think the online fundraising tools are nice. Particularly for those that are using Luminate Online, but just see the basic set of online fundraising tools. I think there was some interesting functionality there. I think our clients are looking for more major gift fundraising, more robust moves management functionality, and as Lisa Eggers commented earlier, a little bit more planned giving functionality. So you thought through the integration with PG Calc. You seemed very deep in events, and I thought you had a great answer to the question about bringing in auctions. I'm working with a client that does 4,500 events a year, and they all have auctions, and they literally have their own warehouse, and trying to figure out how they're gonna. And they got a custom system that's falling apart, so trying to figure out how they're gonna migrate is interesting. So I see areas where the product seems very deep. I see areas where, if you could just get a couple $1 million of investment capital to invest in developers, you could blow it out, and that's easier said than done. So
right. And that's where we have looked for strategic partnerships because it's more than just investment; it's also expertise.
Yes.
And and planned giving is one of those things where unless somebody is involved, like Lisa was involved in the clients on a day-to-day basis, understands what their needs are, it's hard to build it out correctly. And it's not about just throwing money, but it's also about making sure that you have the right team with the right skill sets and expertise and knowledge that is working on it.
Yeah, the user interface design I liked. Some of your competitors, their UI seems and their user experience seems to be done by people wearing blindfolds. So there's interesting strengths, and then there's other things that I think would prevent a larger nonprofit from there's a lot of things preventing a larger nonprofit from signing up, but when you look at, I was looking at your website to look at your published licensing prices for the market you appear to be solving for. There's a huge amount of value. The question for us is, since we tend to, just given our backgrounds, I come from the Multiple Sclerosis Society, and Lisa comes from the Nature Conservancy and things like that, and several other consultants work with huge nonprofits. We're trying to find alternatives to Blackbaud and Salesforce at the very top end of the marketplace, and
it's one of those things, I think, and I had this conversation with Jeff too. I said, I think most people forget we've been in the market for 3 years. Given the right people that can work with us, like we did with the appeals piece, we can actually blow this out fairly quickly. And we are moving into the mid to large market space. And one of the reasons for redoing the entire platform in 2015 was the fact that we wanted it to be scalable, not only here but globally, for organizations that work across continents. Adhering to the fact that more and more are actually looking at and saying we don't want our data to leave our shores. And so dealing with that reality of how we work in a global marketplace as a nonprofit. But we are working with Wounded Soldiers, we are working with a lot of veteran foundations. And so we are moving slowly into that direction, and we are building it out based on that, just so that, strategically our focus is, we want to, mission-wise, we want to give these, we've kept it affordable for the small nonprofits because we feel that it is our duty to make technology accessible at the lowest levels and allow them to scale. But at the same time, we understand that, where this is really going to shine is in the mid to large nonprofit space. And we are trying to get, hence, talking to Jeff and trying to see where the deficiencies are and what we need to do to strengthen to address that marketplace.
Well, good. Well, Lisa and I will be happy to, and Jeff, has his own views as well, in case he hasn't made you aware of that.
No, he does. Well, it's tough being on mute for the whole call. But
I know he's very quiet and shy, but let's get back together and we can pay our end of this bargain by giving you some feedback.
Yes.
One quick question: how many developers are on your staff?
So pure developers, we have currently 14, and we are adding 8 more this hopefully by the first half of the year. So we'll have about 22 developers. The total IT team size is going to be 40 people.
Great.
Nice. Yeah, and I can attest that the product and the product lifecycle that are on there is very agile, very quick cycles. So they're doing a really good job with that and with the business.
Did you bring in an external UI user experience firm, or did you have that skill set inside?
Actually, I work with a freelancer out of Austin, and I personally work on the user experience with him. So all the UI work is a effort between me and him, and I use him as needed. And then we have a whole design team in India that then takes the concepts and fleshes them out completely across the platform. So all the major pieces are worked on with this guy in Austin.
Great. All right. Well, I also need to get ready for the next meeting of the day. But Jeff will be in touch with both of us, and we'll get Lisa, Scott, and anyone else from the call that wants to participate to give you some more feedback. Though I think you've heard our major messages, and it really comes down to what you want to solve for.